There was a point in my life where I was unathletic, extremely overweight, and had a weak mindset when it came to anything other than studying and gaming. To say the least, I was weak, naive, and very young. However, that all began to change after I found the anime that changed my life, the anime named Hajime no Ippo. Makunoichi Ippo, our protagonist, has been bullied his entire life. As someone who is constantly mocked and beaten up by his classmates, Ippo has always dreamed of changing himself, but he has never had the passion to act upon it. On another typical day, Ippo is yet again mocked for his smell of fish, which he obtained by helping his mother every morning with their fishing business, which was started by his father, who tragically drowned when Ippo was just a child. Even at the sight of his mother being mocked, Ippo just stands vulnerable, unable to not only stand up for himself, but also for the person he treasures the most. However, on this day, Ippo is saved by Takamura Mamoru, who happens to be a pro boxer. After he ridicules the delinquents bullying Ippo, he faints from his injuries and is brought to Takamura's boxing gym. As he regains consciousness, he is all than amazed at his new surroundings in the gym, and something in Ippo begins to change as Takamura tells him that he hates people who pick on the weak, but those who do not stand up for themselves piss him off even more. Takamura then places a photo he drew of Ippo's bullies on a punching bag and forces him to punch it. It is only then that Ippo feels something stir inside him and eventually asks Takamura to train him in boxing. Thinking that Ippo does not have what it takes, Takamura gives him a task deemed impossible and gives him a 1-week time limit. With a sudden desire to get stronger for himself and his hard-working mother, for the first time in his life, Ippo finds passion to train relentlessly to accomplish the task within the time limit. Thus, Ippo's journey to manhood and the top of the boxing world begins. So to some of you this might sound like your typical shonen due to its generic concept. However, to me the concept alone resonated within me to the extent that I was hooked after the first episode alone. There is a clear message being portrayed in this episode that if you do not take action, nothing in your life will change. This message resonated on a personal level with me. As someone who purely just had the willpower to play games or to study, this message was something I needed to hear back then. To, like Ippo, begin to change myself from having a weak mindset to an unwavering willpower to dedicate myself to anything I set my sights on. What follows are 126 episodes of the greatest sports series ever made. And much like how Ippo transforms himself from this weak, generic boy to a feared and respected boxing legend, I also changed from a generic, boring NPC to someone unique with somewhat condemnable achievements and extravagant goals in life. But whoa, let's slow down and look at what actually makes Ippo a work this impacting to not only myself, but many around the world. In my opinion, Hajime no Ippo excels in all areas. However, if I had to attribute the overwhelming impact it gives off to something, it would have to be the cast of the series, which is only second to Gintama in all of media, another incredible shonen anime which I recommend all of you will go watch. The cast of Hajime no Ippo is extensive, interesting and unique. By the end of the anime you will have formed deep bonds with more characters than I can count, whether that is Takamura, the guy who saved Ippo in the first episode, aiming to become the world champion for the sake of the coach who he sees as his own father, Miyata, the first rival of Ippo who shows Ippo the skill and thrill of the sport, whose aim is to prove the effectiveness of his retired dad's boxing style, or even the coach of the gym, who doesn't just teach boxing as a hobby, but rather dedicates his entire soul and being into his students, acting as a father figure to both Takamura and Ippo, who both lacked one for the majority of their lives. It's these profound connections between the characters of the story, their goals, and their overarching story which overlaps them all, that make me see this cast as a family to me. Hajime no Ippo places a huge emphasis on change and one's journey, and I think once you pair this up with a genuine exploration of the sport, a captivating story which defied all my expectations, and the bold yet attaching family built through its characters, you get fights that evoke excitement, distress, thrill, sadness, but most importantly, joy. The pacing of the series allow us to personally experience the dedication and love Ippo ends up obtaining for the sport. He outworks all of his seniors, including Takamura, who is arguably the most skilled boxer in the show. The dedication, spirit and consistency he puts in made me appreciate how beautiful dedication, discipline and simple hard work is. The wins he then obtains allowed me to truly value the fruits of one's labour, as she felt genuine joy because this innocent kid who used to be bullied, even though he was helping his mother alone without a father figure, does not let that stop him from following his newfound passion and achieving his dreams. And I can seriously tell that this series really reached my heart after the joy I felt the first time Ippo finally confronted his bullies by simply ridiculing them, just like how Takamura did. Before I realised it, Ippo changed before my very eyes to someone I only had admiration for. The realism of Hajime no Ippo only helps to more personally attach me to the story and its themes. Much like Ippo, I lived alone with my mother, and whilst not for the same reasons as him, as thankfully my father is alive and well, and I could never imagine my life without him in it. But like Ippo, I lived alone with my mother, who worked hard to make ends due whenever it was necessary, along with the support of other members of my family. And so seeing Ippo repay his mother in the series sparked something inside me. This series made me appreciate all my loved ones and their hard work, and it made me make a promise to myself, a promise that involves me paying them back for all the help they ever gave me. And I can just say this on a video because I know I will, no matter what, end up committing to this, but I promise I will one day do my very best to pay them back for everything they've given me. Before I realised it, Hajime no Ippo stopped being just another show. I wasn't just watching a boxing anime, I was watching a depiction of life itself, with all the joys and struggle that come with it. Ippo doesn't just have a rainbow carved to him, a dreamful journey that will just be straightforward and easy. He works hard, struggles for each battle, and even loses multiple times, but the most important thing is that he never lets the losses get to him. He always remains humble and takes the struggles of his life head on as he overcomes them all. All of this while he continues to help his mother work and even attended high school up until around episode 30. His dedication is nothing short of an inspiration to me, to this day. Each of his battles is a spectacle. He never runs away, never fights dirty, and never complains, even when others do, whilst being the most humble person you could imagine. To me, Ippo is an idol who I strive to be more like every day. You have to now think that this is just the main character of this series. And as I mentioned before, the best part of the show is the cast, and I have barely even mentioned anybody else. Ippo might not even be my biggest inspiration in the series. To me, Takamura, Sendo and Kamogawa are all contenders for the people who have impacted me the most. But the cast as a whole have all inspired me many times in all my life endeavours. Hajime no Ippo is a show like no other, with incredible fight scenes which are the best of any show out there, impeccable storytelling and a legendary set of characters. It is a 10 out of 10 masterpiece if I have ever fucking seen one. So how did my life actually change from watching this series? Well, as I mentioned before, my mindset and values were completely altered. I now had a profound appreciation for hard work, dedication and growth. Shortly after finishing this series, I began to work out, and what started with simple push-ups at home evolved with my routine becoming more and more compact, and eventually I picked up the gym. This wasn't just a product of Hajime no Ippo. I would partly credit Dragon Ball Z as the anime that has impacted me even more than Hajime no Ippo in my life, but Ippo played an immense role in my motivation to do so. I ended up going back to home workouts because of COVID. However, it ended with me not missing my routine I had set out for myself for around 8 months, and then in the summer of 2021 I picked up the gym again, and I am still going to this day, and I can comfortably say it was one of the best decisions of my life. I started talking to so many people I recognised from my school, but I never actually had a reason to talk to, just because of me being there in the gym. It was something that gave me a reason to kind of interact with them. And this led me to make what I would refer to as lifelong friends and memories. I went to that gym every day. I always worked out with my friends. I always went there. My consistency grew to new levels. My mindset changed completely. That gym in general shaped a lot of my core life values and the reasons I'm succeeding in life to this day. Naturally, I also completely changed the way I looked because of going there. And I went from this unfit fat kid to someone that looks like this. And whilst this isn't the end of my journey and I'm not happy with my results at the moment, I obviously aim for more. I am definitely pleased with how far I've come and how well I've done for myself, because I know there are people who are stuck at home and never have the motivation to do this. If all it took was a show about a kid who boxes to get me this far, then anyone can watch this series and probably get even further than me. Even to this day, the gym is now a part of my identity. It's incredible how much one's life can change once you acquire the right mindset and motivation, which Hajime gave me. Speaking of which, Hajime is one of the biggest products of motivation alongside Dragon Ball and Berserk in my life. And even when in college and now in university, as I am beginning a degree in electronic and electrical engineering this September, the motivation for working hard, even in days where I just wish to quit or not do anything, comes from people like Ippo, who never gave up even when life hit them the hardest. Even with our father, he helped his mother run a fishing business alone and he never complained about it, and he still achieved his dreams. To summarise though, before watching Hajime Ippo, I was already somewhat outside of the ordinary. Not only was I fat and unfit, which already makes me outside of the ordinary in the UK at least, but I also worked hard when it came to studying, which not many do by themselves, if I'm honest. But at the end of the day, I was a normal kid, no one special, someone just living day by day without any serious life goals, aside from making my family proud, which is what motivated my studying back then. That was always a goal in my head because of how hard I saw my family work for me. However, I am now someone more unique. I have a strong mindset dedication I personally know a ton of people do not or never will have. I have a social media presence many will again never achieve, and I'm trying to graduate from one of the hardest degrees in the world at a great university. So whilst I am by no means extraordinary, I'm no one extraordinary, I am certainly a lot closer to that title than I once was. I now also have more extravagant goals like getting 100k on YouTube one day, getting this degree obviously, benching 100 kg in the gym, which is a goal any man should strive to achieve in their lives, and obviously to pay back my family and to enjoy my life, which is something only I can achieve as the main character of my own life. If you're someone that can relate to my past self, or someone that has been touched by anything I mentioned in this video, I encourage you, please watch this anime. The first 76 episodes are literally free on YouTube to this day, so you literally have no excuses as to why you wouldn't watch it. To me, the main goal of making this video was to encourage everyone to watch this series, as it might very well change your life the very same way it did with mine. And that would make the entire effort I put into this video more than worth it by a million times. Life will be hard and discouraging, but if I could give all of you any advice for it, it's that you always try your hardest at anything you set your mind to. Be grateful for everything you have and enjoy your journey. You will all make it. Anyways, it's been your boy Daxler555, and I hope you enjoy this much more personal video than usual, which had me a bit emotional during the making of it. But that is precisely the content I want to make now. Regardless, I will see you guys next week with another upload on my YouTube journey.